Hi. Welcome back to Wandering into Wellness. We are in front of a door. This door is a special door. It's the magic door of hope.
It's so lovely, actually.
It is so lovely, isn't it? And like the messages we've got, what have we got? So keep the planet green.
Mondays for Mother Earth.
Climate justice will happen. ... hopefully.
With mass rebellion, we open the door of hope.
Boom, I love it. We don't have to read all of them off, but that basically is it. Mass rebellion is what we're here for. This is Rebellion Week, and Extinction Rebellion is, they've ramped up to a week-long protest. They've taken over a chunk of Merrion Square. They're doing loads of actions for the week, and we've been talking to some of the main kind of people within it, the coordinators and the activists here who are, making real change in their own lives and like doing a lot of stuff on behalf of us.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, they're like doing the work that we should be doing. We should be like standing down and giving them praise and washing their feet and giving them bread.
Yeah, and instead of that, we're not really doing that. I mean, so many of us are excited and are part of this and hopeful for change, but so many people are kind of reticent to join in with the action and to be a part of that change and kind of almost looking down on it, right? And
it seems like the only people who aren't reticent are those people who are actually, here on the ground doing the work. There's not a huge gang of them, but this is what like one of the Extinction Rebellion's like core principles is. It like it only takes 3.5% of the population to make mass change. We just have to hope to God that they're going to get there, that we're going to get there, essentially. And it's not a they, and that's the problem. They're being treated like an activist movement, same as all the others, as opposed to like, no, this is you and me and everybody. It's like...
Well, it's an othering, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's that same thing of like climate change is something that's happening like over there in the different countries and not in our country, but it's completely relevant to us. I mean, we're a small, tiny island nation. We're surrounded by sea.
Yeah.
It is a problem.
Yeah, and the seas are rising. So yeah, anyway, this is another interview that we've taken from Extinction Rebellion Week. So I hope you guys enjoy all of the content we brought you and tune in. See you in a bit. Hey guys, welcome back to Wandering into Wellness.
Hello.
Finn and Lydia as per usual. We're here with Ciaran.
Hello.
Who is one of the coordinators of Rebellion Week as part of Extinction Rebellion's takeover worldwide of cities in order to enact change and to help to kind of bring awareness and attention to make people just stop what the hell they're doing and put down their tools. And
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's a big part of what we do is awareness raising. So many people right now do not know the extent and the scale of the crisis that we are facing. So through our disruptive actions, we are spreading the word and making people think about it and spreading the science and the facts.
Okay, and how do you think it's going? Is that like is it going to message? Is it working?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. The kind of media coverage that we've been getting has been really, really substantial over the last 5-6 days over Rebellion Week. Putting our case forward, saying urgent climate action is needed, and it's appearing in newspapers like never before, thanks to groups like Extinction Rebellion and the Climate Strike.
Okay, wicked. And are you seeing so when you say you're seeing it appear in papers, like what do you need to change and how quickly? I mean, as I understand it, based on whatever bit of tiny climate stuff that I've read, we've got 12 years till we have to have a zero carbon economy. We've got 2 years till we have to stop the rise. Isn't that right? Or less, maybe even a year and a half.
Well, yeah, I mean, right now people are dying from climate change. So, the time to stop is now. We need to work towards zero emission in a just and fair way globally, all together, immediately, because this isn't some disaster or crisis that's coming down the line in 10 or 12 years. This is killing people now. Yeah. So we need to start adapting our societies and getting to zero emissions now.
Okay, so what do? People who are watching this, people who are listening, what's the actual immediate action for them?
The most substantive immediate action they can take is to come out and join groups like Extinction Rebellion and demand change at a political level. Okay. Fossil fuel companies are polluting this planet to death, and we need new laws, new regulations that bans the burning of fossil fuels. That has to change at a government level. That's why we are here outside the Dáil putting pressure on politicians to change the laws, ban fracking, ban exploration of oil and gas, ban the burning of fossil fuels, phase it out as quickly as we can in a just and fair way.
And go on.
I think that one of the major things that I'm hearing is families saying we're really busy, we're trying to just keep our families alive, we're going to work, we're looking after our kids. What can we possibly do as a family to affect change? And they kind of feel like it's helpless and hopeless, and so they do nothing. What would you feel about that? What can people do in their small homes that can really make changes?
I completely understand that kind of feeling of helplessness. This crisis feels overwhelming. I think we've all experienced that. I think everyone in Extinction Rebellion has had that moment of feeling, this is overwhelming, what can I do? And I think it's about finding like-minded people, banding together, making connections, talking about it, sharing thoughts and feelings, and then finding ways to go out and challenge the norm and be disruptive and try and bring about change. That doesn't mean for everyone getting arrested. I think that's a part of it, but for many people we need food to power the revolution, we need meeting organizers, we need trainers, we need stewards, and at the end of the day, people are very busy. Even just an hour of your time, even just half an hour of your time to even just come down and say to rebels, good on you, keep going, give them a morale boost, even that's huge, and we really appreciate it.
So what is the sort of numbers of people that you've seen coming down here? Do you have any gauge on, is it this amount of people that you were hoping to get down here? Is it less? Is it more?
Well, the amount of people that we need to bring about transformative change isn't hundreds, it's thousands, even tens of thousands. Those are the kind of numbers we ultimately need and that we need to build towards. I think what we've seen from this week is a huge increase in awareness of Extinction Rebellion Ireland, our aims, our demands, and also the science that we need to get to zero emissions as effectively and justly as possible, and that's a big win from this week, and we can really build from here.
Yeah.
What do you say to people who criticise Greta and her voice and the voice that she's had, and they sort of, from what I can understand, suggest that essentially she's sort of like almost like a paid shill, that she's been sort of put up there to make people feel bad about it, and in order that those powers that be make it known that things are being done, or make it appear as though things are being done. What do you say to people who criticise that? Like, they're not all. I'm surprised at some of the voices who are critical of her.
I think it's really sad when people criticise Greta. It's it would be embarrassing if it wasn't so serious. But we'll notice in how people criticise Greta, they don't criticise her about the science or the facts of what she's saying, because she fact checks extensively. They're not criticising the fact that she's saying we're headed for climate breakdown, that we're headed for starvation, mass sea level rises, and that our children won't be able to eat food within their lifetimes. They're criticising her for all sorts of other things apart from the facts.
Like extraneous to the message.
Because they can't compete with the truth, and that's something that's really apparent in the people that criticise Greta.
Yeah. Okay.
They don't engage with the science because they can't.
Yeah, at this point it's become irrefutable. It's funny because in like the mid 2000s, I remember lots of debate on radio where they'd say, they'd have like climate. They weren't even called climate deniers at that stage, but those who were like, felt that the idea of climate change wasn't either as big a topic as being made out of, or that it wasn't caused by human actions or whatever. But that seems to have just evaporated at this stage.
Unfortunately not. I mean, we still see the President of the United States as a climate change denier, and that's really unfortunate, because you pulled the United States out of the Paris Accord, and no country in the world is on target to hit their Paris targets. But I agree with you, there has been a change, but what we've seen, let's take Ireland or the United Kingdom, for example, where we have seen that to just be a climate change denier totally is now outside the mainstream. So you don't see them on TV or radio as much as you did. But what you do see now is climate delayers. Those people who were deniers are now delayers, saying, oh, don't worry about it, we'll get tech solutions, this is 50, 60 years away. That is just as dangerous to us now, because it still ends us up at the same place as climate deniers, which is no action and a climate catastrophe taking place. So for me, climate delayers and deniers are now the same thing. They're one and the same.
Yeah. So we announced a climate emergency here. What was it? Was it nearly a year ago at this stage?
Yeah, just after the first international rebellion back in April.
Which is amazing. So that shows that the power of the change that can be enacted by this sort of activity. What have we seen in terms of results based on that? Have we seen the government taking a different view? Have you seen different versions of legislation being viewed in different ways, being considered in different ways as a result of it?
In Ireland, absolutely not. I mean, we just had the budget here in Ireland, which for so many of the crises that we face in Ireland did absolutely nothing. I think, if I recall, it was something like 9 million given to cycling, but 16 million given to appalling greyhound racing. And that just shows you the kind of the government's priority on this, that the status quo business as usual has continued, and that's why groups like Extinction Rebellion, like the climate strikes, are out on the streets and growing in numbers, because the government isn't taking the urgent action it needs to. And Pascal Donoghue came out and said during the week, well, some people were happy with my climate moves, some people were unhappy. That means I get it right. But unfortunately, you can't. You can't negotiate with science, with fact. We just kind of tweaking the edges and going, some people just don't agree with me, so I must have gotten it right, isn't what we need right now. We need to look at the science, and we need policies in accordance with that.
Yeah.
Not wishy-washy halfway houses.
And are we seeing any countries that are like getting the Paris Accord right? Any of them that are like sticking to that? Like, is there, or who
They're really
best
few and far
examples?
between. If you want to look at some examples, Costa Rica is a really good example of a country that's really turned itself around, invested in renewable energy, reforestation with the right kind of trees that they're planting, not something that grows really fast and can be stripped down.
Made of hardwood stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Costa Rica is a great example. Denmark's another good example, running almost entirely on renewable energy. You know, it can be done. Let's just, you know, the Netherlands for cycling. You know, all these solutions are already out there. We can just take them from people who've already trialed them and incorporate them into our society. We just need to take best cases and implement them as best we can.
And is the resistance to change, do you think, is it because of the lobbying strength of the industries like fossil fuel industries?
Yeah.
Is that's really what it comes down to?
I mean, that's a huge part. That's a huge part. Also, I think we have, as many countries have, a political class that's disconnected from the average person on the street. You know, from what the average person's facing, whether that be healthcare, transport, infrastructure, but the climate emergency is as well. You know, they have a priority which is political, but they're not on the front line. It's not, in general, their houses being flooded. It's not their businesses that are going to be washed away by rising tides. You know. And so they struggle to take action on it that's necessary. Yeah, okay, cool. Listen, we better like wind it up because I think it's about to get noisy behind us here. Really appreciate you taking time, sure,
and
thanks.
best of luck with the week. And like, I'm just amazed by the strength of the volunteers, the cerebral engagement with this, and the level of just knowledge about, you know,
and commitment to community,
yeah,
which really seems to be the key. Like what you were saying is, if we can draw from the strengths of all the countries that have done well, it's about banding together as a community. It's not about individual countries now and individual nations. It is the one world that we need to all work together. And these little micro communities that we're making, that's where we strengthen those bonds.
Absolutely. And I would say as well, like on a personal level, for people, if you're feeling kind of bummed out or wondering what to do, try and get into an Extinction Rebellion group, make a connection, talk to people, and you know, you'll find communities who think like you, want to act like you, you know, and that can be really helpful as well.
Yeah.
Cool. Nice one.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ciaran. Cheers. Appreciate
Thanks very much.
Deadly guys, thank you very much for watching. Come like, subscribe on YouTube and Spotify, and where else?
YouTube, Spotify, the podcast app,
iTunes, all those things. Anyway, cool. Hope you enjoyed it, and best of luck, and make action, make change now, like right now. Thanks.
Thanks everyone.